I know we're ready to talk about this because I was very excited. As a matter of fact, Corey even remembers when I mentioned it on Sunday night before we went live on the show. Final Fantasy VII, the exclusivity for it has been extended for Sony PlayStation. And Intergrade won't appear anywhere else for at least 6 months. Intergrade, which is the actual updated version, including the DLC and all that stuff. This information comes to us from Sammy Barker at PushSquare.com. Thank you very much, Sammy. The original Final Fantasy VII Remake on PS4 was a timed exclusive for a year, meaning many had expected to launch on other formats in April. I was one of those people because I was ready for the PC version to get announced. But you know what? This is a PlayStation show. I'll shut my mouth.
Well, I feel like it's going to come to PC before it comes to Xbox, right? Because the Xbox version has been... it hasn't even been announced. There's been no inkling of it ever coming to Xbox. I feel like... I don't know. It's kind of funny because... Xbox like touted that they got all these Final Fantasy games, and then like a month later they're like, oh well, PlayStation has Final Fantasy and the DLC for free plus Final Fantasy 16 exclusive. So
yeah,
I don't know. I just feel like Final Fantasy is so intrinsically tied to PlayStation that I don't know how large the audience is for Final Fantasy on Xbox. You know, like I have most of the Final Fantasy games on Xbox, but that's because Xbox is my preferred platform, right? But I feel like that after this exclusivity is over, Microsoft's going to just try to make a deal to put the whole thing on Game Pass. You know, I mean, that's their whole thing is like, oh, we don't need it now, but we can put the whole thing on Game Pass when it's ready, you know, for a year or whatever.
You know what? That's a very good assessment because 10 and 10-2 are getting ready to hit the store, hit Game Pass. Like I think it comes next week.
Yeah, 12 is on there. 15 was on there for a year. 7, 8, 9 are all on there. Although
nine's getting ready to leave. Nine's leaving. Yeah,
which is fine if you haven't played it. You know, in the last 30 years, you're probably not going to start now. You know,
I'm not in any hurry to play it. I've never played it.
Oh, 9 is like secretly the best one.
9 is the best.
8 killed Final Fantasy for me on PS1. Let's just put it that way.
Oh man, 8 was great too.
I hear 8 was great, but I had other issues with 8. It wasn't so much the game itself that was too bad. You know, I just had other issues with 8. I had technical issues with 8.
The junction system isn't very good, but
yeah,
still fun.
So going back to this. As it stands right now, this will mean that Final Fantasy VII will have 18-month exclusivity for the PlayStation, particularly PS4, because the PS5 version is coming, but they haven't announced when the PS5 disc, physical copy is coming out just yet. All right, the final trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is here as well, and it's packed with a lot of details. Following its reveal earlier in the year, Square Enix has confirmed the official name of the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade's DLC. I'm already getting tired of saying that, so I may have to abbreviate that as I keep going with this conversation. The Intergrade DLC is now called Episode Intermission. You knew you were going to hate that as soon as you saw it, right?
What's with these inters? I don't like it.
I hate this.
It's a Square Enix thing, you know. Like it's a Square Enix thing, you know.
I mean, they are the ones that did 2.8 and all that stuff for Kingdom Hearts. So I mean, at this point, what's it?
Right? Yeah. Okay. The final trailer confirms the existence of a new Fort Condor minigame. For those who don't know, Fort Condor was a location in the original Final Fantasy VII where Cloud and the gang helped defend a rebel base against hordes of Shinra enemies. The scenario featured a real-time strategy minigame where you had to place units on the map. This looks like a remake of the minigame, although you are not actually at Fort Condor this time around. All right. We're pretty sure that you're not going to take this news well, especially for people waiting for the news of a PC release. So, yeah, there's that. on one final note with this topic, if you are planning on picking up a physical copy of Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade, oh my god. How have I not gotten tongue twisted on this so far? Then you'll need to redeem a download code to play with the new DLC add-on. Also, the episode Yuffie, which comes included. The reason why we're finding this out is because Australian retailer EB Games apparently put word out that the new episode featuring Yuffie will be a code supplied in the box, so it won't be actual physical content on the disc.
All right.
Sounds about right.
Well, there's the topic. We know that Sony loves timed exclusives and plans to keep on doing so in the future going forward. But here's a question. Has the era of exclusives become a thorn in the side for gamers? Like, I mean, Corey just mentioned, that, the way this is going to probably pan out is that it's going to wind up coming to Game Pass versus being like, an individual purchasable title, for the system.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like, PlayStation knows that they can sell the games, and like, okay, so Microsoft is basically buying studios to get their exclusives, right? Like, that seems to be the way that they're approaching things, whereas Sony doesn't have the cash to just buy studios, right? So they're making side deals, they're making timed exclusivity deals, they're making publishing deals, that kind of thing, to keep exclusives. So, because they're not Sony. It looks like Sony's not going to get Starfield. It looks like they're not going to get Indiana Jones. It looks like they're not going to get this secret Star Wars project, right? Like, that's
actually, it sounds very Japanese because Nintendo does this a lot. They get timed exclusives.
Well, do they get exclusives because they're paying for it, or do they get exclusives because developers need to develop different games for Nintendo because they're so underpowered?
Okay. Yeah. Someone had to say it. Somebody had to say it.
I'm not trying to be mean. That's just the truth, right? I mean, truth hurts sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a big Nintendo fan, right? Like, I love my Switch, and I mean, Boss Rush started with a Nintendo podcast, right? That Ed and I started, but like,
I love my Switch right now. Like, I mean, Capcom helped me love the Switch. Let's put it this way.
If Capcom would just release a Monster Hunter game once a year, you would just keep LeRon on the Switch the whole time. He would never go anywhere else.
He would never leave.
Nintendo of America, Nintendo of Japan is like, we got that bastard. We got it.
LeRon would be the new host of Nintendo Power Block.
I haven't even turned on Monster Hunter World on the PC, and everyone knows I played that game for 3 years.
Well, it's probably time to hang it up. Although, to be fair, I've been playing Destiny for 7, and they just dropped a new content season today. So,
I'll be back on Monster Hunter World. I mean, I do have a Monster Hunter podcast that I have to curate content for. So there's that. I'm going to say this: as far as timed exclusives go, like, I don't really mind, but I just feel like there's a mindset in parts of the gaming community. I think timed exclusives mean that somebody's winning the console war, and the console war itself is an obsolete thing, in my opinion. But as long as these timed exclusives are going to happen, like, for example, like, Nintendo fans love rubbing our faces that Bayonetta is only on Nintendo right now, stuff like that. Even though it started out as a multi-platform title that Nintendo didn't get.
I will guarantee you that after Bayonetta 3 comes out,
Bayonetta 2 will be out.
Platinum will find a way to get those games on other platforms.
Yeah.
Because I think Nintendo has a publishing deal with them that only lasts through the third game.
Mm-hmm.
But Nintendo's, not to make this a Nintendo podcast, Nintendo's secret weapon with Platinum, though, is that they own the Astral Chain IP.
Yeah, so we'll never see Astral Chain. But then again, Astral Chain, I think Astral Chain plays great on the Switch. I have Astral Chain. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I got it, and I played the first 2 hours, and I really loved it, and then I never went back.
That's kind of what I had. I played maybe like 6 or 7 hours of it, and just never got back on it.
Well, I really liked it, but I was like, I got to beat Fire Emblem before I try anything else, right? And then I took me 2 months to beat Fire Emblem, and then honestly kind of forgot about Astral Chain. So, whoops. That's on me, guys. My bad.